Hey, it's Scott with Zenvi AI, and welcome to Systems Are Sexy podcast. Today, I am joined by Tami Cicerello. She's a seasoned agent with Remax in Santa Clarita, California. She's been serving her community for over 36 years. She's built her business around one powerful idea: creating meaningful client experiences that drive lasting relationships. So we're going to talk about those today: the taco and margarita night, ice skating with Santa, and it's really mastered the art of building loyalty through authentic connection. So Tammy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about, I know when we chatted before, you really talked about how you put systems in place and it's kind of been one of the keys to the success of your business. What first pushed you into creating those systems that are repeatable for you?
Because every year we do a lot of, not even every year, just for our events we have systems, but for everything we do, it seems like things are just repeated. If we have to do something more than once, we need a system in place. So I do have a team, so I have people that work with me, and because of that, we need to know who's going to be in charge of what's going to happen when, and we review those lists every quarter. Or if there's something that comes up in a transaction, like, hey, like when solar became really popular quite a few years ago, it's like, okay, we need to add that into our list of things that we're going to have to ask the sellers about and ask the buyers about and provide during our escrow period. So we just make sure every time that we have a transaction, if there's something that we think, gosh, this is going to be coming up a lot, we just make sure we add that right into our task plan. So if you don't have a plan, you're just flying by the seat of your pants all the time and things get lost and forgotten. If you have a plan of action and you do every time, it's repeated every time, life is going to be easier. You're not going to
Yes.
forget, and you're going to provide the best service possible to your clients.
That's a great way to put it. So, as I mentioned in the intro, you've become known for your client events, the taco and margarita night, the ice skating with Santa. What inspired you to start those?
At the time, this was quite a few years ago, probably 20 some odd years ago. I was coaching. My coach was like, hey, you should start doing some client events. And so I started doing them, and then I kind of dropped off on it. I did a couple, and I dropped off for a few years, and I was like, wait, why am I not doing that? So I went back to doing the client events, and I've been doing them for a long time. My taco night that I just did in September, that was our 10th annual taco night. So we do them every year. We do usually like the same month. So we plan everything and do like tacos every September. And our clients are used to that. They know it's coming. And, it gives us a reason to also keep in contact with our clients. So we don't just plan our events. We also plan our touch points around our events. So we make sure that we get, anywhere from 3 to 6 touch points per event with our clients, because you're contacting them beforehand via email, via text, via phone call, via mail. And then you're also contacting them after the event to thank them for coming and making sure that, you have a good time, just touching base with them after the event as well. So have a tendency to get quite a few touch points, and it gives us a reason to reach out to them other than real estate, but just keep top of mind.
Yeah, and I know when we chatted earlier, talked about how you put systems and they kind of function on their own right now. If someone's listening, thinks, hey, that's a really cool idea. How do I do something like that? Can you kind of give us an idea how you structure them from planning to execution to make sure it's easier on you every year that it happens?
Yes. So again, we have a task plan for every client event. And we go through and we make sure, okay, what do we need to do and at what point? So in our CRM, we actually schedule our task plans for our client events. It's time to launch the task. We put a task to launch our task plan. For our September event, we launch it in July, and we have to schedule the taco guy. We have to make sure we have all the margarita machine reserved and the tables, all that stuff. So we assign to different people on my team of what they're supposed to do, but we make sure we launch that. And to be honest with you, I pretty much step aside and I don't do a whole lot as far as the planning. The only thing that I do is most of my events are also shared with my affiliates and they help pay for them. And I do make those contacts to my affiliates and let them know, ask them for their assistance again with the events, invite them to the events and make sure all that's taken care of. Other than that, I'm just doing my contacts to my clients and taking care of what's really important to me, which is the clients. I have somebody else that handles all the setup. And like I said, everybody, depending upon what they're best at, it goes to different people on the team and it's all assigned through our task plans. So it works out really well.
Have you looked at how those have evolved over time? Like, hey, how we've gotten better at them? Is there a process like after every event, like, hey, what can we do better kind of conversation
Yes.
you guys have?
Yes. So at the beginning of each event, we kind of review the list to make sure there's nothing we think, oh, we should add this. And then at the end of the event, we always sit down, the whole team, and we review what transpired. Is there anything we should have added? Were there any balls dropped during the transaction? Is there anything that maybe a suggestion even from a client? Like just recent this year, we switched from long tables to round tables because we felt like round tables is going to allow people to talk more and actually get to know other people at their table. So we switched to the big round tables. And I think everybody seemed to really like that because they weren't like stuck at the other end of a long table and, not being able to talk to everybody at the table. So that worked out really well. So things like that we kind of we just sit down at the end of an event and say, hey, what about this? Should we do here? You have to modify events as things are changing, or modify your task plans, I should say, as things are changing.
I get that. So I know real estate's typically been a very high touch type of business, but you guys have experimented with some technology and AI tools. How do you guys balance technology, but also having that personal client connection?
So I use technology in my business, but I use it excessively. No, I do use AI to help with descriptions or to help with posts that we're doing on our Instagram page and that sort of thing. But I do not use it on a lot of my emails that are going out to my clients. I will put things in and I'll say, okay, if I have a topic and I will have something come back but I always go in and I modify things and I make sure that that's all being taken care of. I don't use AI for I tried it. I tried using the AI for the email or text messages and that sort of thing. And I kind of got away from that. I do use mini chat to send out stuff to my clients, if they on Instagram, if they want a guide or things of that nature. I do use it for that, but I don't use it as aggressively as a lot of people do use AI and use technology. But I live by my CRM. So everything is CRM driven. And we're, that's the first thing we do when we get in the office. We open up our CRM and say, okay, what do we have to accomplish today? And make sure that we get, we're going to be able to get through our task plans for the day and make sure everything is coordinated.
Got it. Yeah. Have you ever thought about like if there was a piece of technology or AI that could save you time or money? Because I know you talked about if something is you have to do it more than once, you need to put a system in place. Have you thought about what you could outsource to AI to make everything run smoother for you?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've looked into that as aggressively as I probably could. We pretty much do most everything through personal touch.
So I know over time you kind of scaled up and scaled down over the years. How do you come up with how do you decide to simplify your team structure? At what point do you go, hey, we need to bring people on, or we need to move on from some people? Because the goal really of the podcast really is to learn about how people have scaled their businesses and what's worked and what hasn't. So if someone was into real estate recently and they're looking to grow their business, what advice would you give them?
Be slow to hire and quick to fire. I know you hear that all the time, but be slow to hire. Make sure you really are aligned with that person and that person is going to treat your clients and do the business the way that you want that done because they are a reflection of you. And the buck stops with you. You are the team lead. So if your agents or your people are not doing business the way that you want it done, it's going to reflect on you. It's a reflection of you. And you are responsible for that person's actions because it's your name. It's your team. So make sure that you really are happy with that person and that they would run their business the way that you feel comfortable running your business.
Right. You had mentioned before about how some of the newer splits and market conditions don't always make sense for larger teams. I was wondering if you kind of explain what you mean by that and what are you seeing from a business sustainability standpoint?
So to be honest with you, I was always a small team. I've always been a small team. So I haven't really done the larger team. That's not something that's been on my radar. I've been doing this 36 years. So it's not like I'm looking for a longer term of trying to do this for another 20 years. That's not in my game plan. Um, I like having a smaller team and having more control of the issues and more control of my team members and knowing what is going on and what they're doing versus having a large team where but it's not a good or bad. It's just that's my choice. As far as splits and that sort of thing, I think a lot of times team members don't understand exactly what you do for them and what your expenses are that are involved, and they always want more because they think, oh, you're getting X percentage of our commission, and they don't really look at, okay, gosh, you're paying for my CRM, you're paying for my monthly fees, you're paying for all the advertising, you have the VAs that are doing all of this stuff for us. They don't understand a lot of times all of those expenses that are involved and all the time saving that we're doing for them until they're no longer on a team.
California is one market, but it really can really drill down to whether it's Santa Clara, Clarita, Glendale, Santa Monica, all kind of behave differently. How would you describe what's going on in your area right now?
Area. And so within Santa Clarita, even the market is so different depending upon not only the location within the Santa Clarita area, but also the price point. Like our higher end properties, which we don't have, we're not $20 million homes here. But when we get into that higher price point of, 1.3 plus, things are sitting on the market longer. We are seeing prices come down more than we are for the properties that are in that seven to $800,000 range.
But what do you think people maybe what are some misconceptions if someone's moving from another state to California in your area? What do you think some misconceptions are that people maybe have about the market?
So I think it's really tough depending upon where you're coming from. Like I have somebody right now that is moving here from Alabama and they were like, gosh, this is crazy because you're not going to be getting the lot sizes that you're looking for, and the prices are a lot different here than it is there. However, when you get people coming here, let's say from Seattle, and they're looking in the Santa Clarita area, prices are actually very comparable or even less in a lot of cases than what it was going to be in that area. So just California as a whole does not mean prices are excessive. And we're kind of the mid-range price. If you go farther north, there's areas like Bakersfield and Sacramento that are a lot less expensive than we are here. So when you're looking in California, you just need to realize that every area is different and not everything is multi-million dollar homes. And I think a lot of people have the preconceived perception that everything here is so expensive and that everything is, multi-million dollar homes. That's not the case.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned before how some homes will get multiple offers and others sit for weeks. Do you think it's just price or are there other factors behind that?
I think there's a couple things. One, with rates where they are now, people want a house they can move in and they want it move-in ready. Back during COVID and during those times, you could have a house that showed terribly, it didn't really matter, it needed a lot of work, and it would still sell with multiple offers. Now what we're finding, unless a house is priced really well, if it needs a lot of work, they are sitting on the market. And the houses that are move-in ready are getting a ton of activity. I can even give you a for instance. I did two open houses this weekend. One was on a beautiful home, totally updated, ready to go. We had 18 families come through. One was on a house, and that was houses like in the 950 range. One was on a house that is in the $700,000 range, and it needs a lot of work, but it's a different neighborhood as well. And it's so comparable. They were both comparable to the other homes in their neighborhood, the way they're priced. But the one that was a $700,000 home, we had 3 people through, but it doesn't show as nice. It needs some paint and carpet. It needs some updates that the sellers aren't really wanting to do, but we only had 3 people through. So the way a house shows is going to really reflect on the amount of activity you're going to get and how quickly the house will sell. That house for 950, I believe we're going to have multiple offers on it today based on the feedback I'm getting from agents. And the house for 700, we actually did get an offer, but it has been on the market 2.5 weeks. The other one's been on the market 3 days. The 950 house was on the market 3 days. So yes, if a house shows really nice, we're seeing that things are selling. You get a lot more activity because people are not willing to do the work like they used to be willing to do.
Yeah, I was curious about that because I noticed homes that then updated tend to go quicker, obviously. So I'm wondering, do you go back to the client that has a $700,000 house and go, hey, if you could spend money on this and this, or is it just sometimes that's you're dealing with what you've got?
We usually have that discussion in the very beginning before we even put the house on the market and say, okay, what are you willing to do? What can you get done? And if you're willing to do the paint and the carpet and do the updating, then we're going to be at this price point. But if you're saying, you don't want to do all that stuff, then we're going to have to be at this price point. So we kind of discuss all of that because that house should be more like a 740, 750 house, but we're at 700 because of the condition. So we priced it accordingly due to condition. But even at that, there's a model match that is closing that's been redone for 750 and it's closing this week. And we're at 700. So we did price it according to the work that it needs. But even so, a lot of buyers are not willing to do the work.
I understand. But obviously, you talked about your events, and that's probably for existing clients. Do new clients find you that way, or how are you finding new clients? How do you get new leads?
So the majority of my new clients, to be honest with you, are past clients and referrals because they are, my past clients give me referrals. I just did my taco event And I got 3 referrals from the taco event because you're right in front of them, you're with them. They're like, "Oh, I was just talking to a friend at work. I was telling you I was coming to this. They're thinking about buying." And I even have clients that'll call and say, "Hey, can I invite a friend because they're thinking about buying? I'd love them to meet you." So they bring friends with them even sometimes. So I do get referrals from that. I also do, advertising on Instagram. We have sign calls. But I don't do a ton of additional advertising for new clients as far as I don't do Zillow. I don't do the paid ads. I don't do the paid marketing. Most of my business is referral and past client.
Okay, looking ahead, what's next for you? Are there any new systems or events or community ideas that you're excited about?
We have added events. So we do our past client events consist of our taco night. We also do a ice skating with Santa. So that's coming up here soon. And before that, we'll do our pumpkin pie night. So we do have 3 things like in a very short period of time. But then I usually do something, maybe a movie night at some point. We do a shred event where we have a shredding truck come in. We do shredding, and we also do electronics. People can bring up electronics they're getting rid of. And we open that to our entire database and we put that on Instagram, Facebook. So we have people that come that are not in our database for that because it doesn't really matter how many people come. We aren't having to worry about ordering food and all that kind of stuff. So we can have everybody just show up. And then we do like for Mother's Day, we're going to do a floral event where people can come and make their own flower arrangements. So by doing these events, it makes it so they're coming to me in large quantities and I'm able to just, socialize with them and have just a fun night.
Okay, maybe one more question here. Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time, over 30 years. It's very impressive. If there's a newer agent listening right now, what advice would you give to him or her to build a business that lasts as long as yours has?
So to be honest with you, if I was talking to a brand new agent, I say join a team because I think that you need to have somebody that's going to be helping you through the whole process. I know a lot of brokers give a lot of classes and do all of that, but they're not going to sit with you with every transaction until you understand the contracts and make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed with you. So I recommend that first of all. Secondly, I would say, you have friends and you can start planning events with your friends if you choose to do so. So you could actually say, okay, I'm going to do an event and you invite people that, friends of the family, and you start doing that in order to let them know I'm in real estate and this is what I do. And you surround them by maybe you only have 5 or 6 clients, but you have them there because clients start talking to each other or people start talking to each other. So then they're going to let them know that you did a great job for them. So now your friends are going to have trust in you because a lot of times when you're new in the business, your friends and family don't really trust you yet. So even though you think, oh, I know all these people, I'm going to do great because I know all these people. Well, they don't necessarily know that you know what you're doing. So you need to surround those people with people that you've worked with. So if you have a handful of people you've worked with so far, invite them and invite your friends as well so they can start talking to each other. And then people just realize, okay, gosh, she does a great job. And I do that. Like I'll invite certain people that I'm working with that I'm trying to get that listing or I'm working with this buyer and they're invited to the events as well because I want them to hear what my client's saying about me. So they're going to hear all of that as well. So I don't just invite clients. A lot of times it is people who I am actively working with at that time and or like a listing I'm trying to get. I'm like, hey, come to my event. You're going to hear all about me.
Yes, yes, that's a great way to do it. So if there's listeners want to learn more about you or your business, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
You know what? They're welcome to give me a call. My number here is 661-212-3413. Or you can reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook at the Cicerello team.
Great. Well, thank you, Tammy. This has been very helpful. I appreciate your time.
I really appreciate you having me.